What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Adler Perspective. We appreciate you tuning in every day, every week. If this is your first time catching the show, we really hope you enjoy, and subscribe for more content just like this. Hey, and welcome back to the Adler Perspective. That's right, another episode from yours truly, Connor Adler. I don't even think it was necessary to put my name out there, but I did anyway, so deal with it, I guess. I would love to share a story with you today that honestly, it brings a smile to my face every time that I hear it. I'm actually sitting here looking at a picture of one of my mentors from early on. Is honestly one of the first people that I heard that it just changed my life. And I would normally say Jim Rohn, but seriously, one of the first people that I encountered that had a significant impact on my life was Bob Proctor. Now, rest in peace, Bobby P, because he was seriously a legend. This man, just to give you a little bit of edification on, who he is and who he was as a person, he learned early on from, I think, a guy named Ed Schoaf. And then from there, he actually learned directly from Earl Nightingale himself. And if you don't know who Earl Nightingale is, go ahead and give that a Google. I guess if you aren't using Chat GPT now, or give it a GPT. I'm going to coin that term, so you heard it here first, folks. But after that, Bob Proctor went into business with himself and started teaching self-education. Now, Bob didn't start off successful. He credits all his success from one book. And you're going to hear me say the book, and you're going to say, of course he's going to say this book. But no, it's not Robert Kiyosaki. If that's what you thought I was about to say, you better get off of this podcast. No, I'm talking about Think and Grow Rich. Yep, by Napoleon Hill, none other. So Bob Proctor, he got this book from Ed Schoaf. I hope I'm not butchering that. And he read this book every single day for 60 years. And honestly, is a little over 60 years. But for 65 years, I think, he read Think and Grow Rich every single day. And the first nugget that I actually learned from Bob Proctor, we're going to sidebar and sidetrack here, was it's not about how many books you read. It's about how many times you can read the same book and walk away with a different piece of information. Because each time that you read that book, each time you go over that material, you're no longer the same person that was reading it the first time. You've now become this new person with this new data set, this new bit of information. And that's honestly something that I still practice and take heart attack serious now, is before I just jump from book to book to book, I make sure that I fully understand and comprehend what it is I've read, especially if it's something of value. You shouldn't just pass something up that you read and you're like, wow, that could actually change my life if I applied this, and then continue to read. No, stop right there and make that your purpose. It's okay to read that one chapter, that one paragraph even, or even if it's just one sentence, read that one sentence over and over and over and over again. But I sidebarred. Bob Proctor, he read Think and Grow Rich for 65 years. I mean, wow. Can anyone truly say that they have that type of discipline or that type of dedication? And as Bob says sometimes, it's so simple that you just might miss it. So the story that I want to share to you today is based around Bob. And he has a story in one of his lessons in Thinking into Results. And he talks about this guy, Bob Carson. And he was talking to Bob Proctor, and Bob said, you know what, I would sure like to meet Earl Nightingale. And this was before Bob Proctor had, started teaching and coaching beside Earl Nightingale. This is long before then. This is just when he actually just had a set of Earl Nightingale's tapes on his desk, and he would just listen to the tape recorder every single day. So he's talking to Bob Carson, and he says, I'd really like to meet Earl Nightingale. And Bob Carson responded to him. He said, no, you wouldn't, because you would have reached out already. Now, just think about that. No, you wouldn't, because if you would have already reached out. And Bob said, you know what? You're right. And he made a point to reach out, and he got his assistant, and he said that the assistant forwarded him through to Earl Nightingale. And Earl Nightingale picks up the phone in his old-fashioned voice. If you haven't heard any of his stuff, just do yourself a favor. YouTube Earl Nightingale and listen to some of his tapes. Because all of his tapes, he picks up and he says, hello, this is Earl Nightingale. And Bob said, Earl picked up the phone in that exact voice, and Bob said he shook and he didn't know what to say, and he got all dry in the throat, and eventually some words came out. And my focus isn't so much on the story, but on what Bob Carson said to Bob Proctor, which was, no, you wouldn't, because if so, you would have done it already. And how true. How many times in life do we come across something and say, I would like to do that? You know what? No, you wouldn't, because if you did, you would have already done something about it. How many things right now are you sitting on your hands for and not taking action? Really think about it. Maybe it's, I would really like to run a marathon, or I would really like to go to the gym a couple times a week. And it's like, no, you wouldn't, because if you wanted to, you would have done it already. And you know what? That's harsh, but boy, is that true. If you want it, you would have already taken some sort of action towards it. So this is just a little call to you, just a little, sidebar story and some humor with a little bit of knowledge dipped into it. Just take some action today. It's not about perfect action. It's just about doing something towards the attainment of that goal. It doesn't have to be right. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't even have to be well timed. It's just about doing it sometimes. So, if there's something you want to do, I'm challenging you. Take some sort of action and just go do it today. It's not going to hurt you. It's not the end of the world. And you know what? You miss half the shots you never take. Yep, I said it. I said the cheesy phrase. You miss half the shots that you never take. Even myself. I don't share information that doesn't apply to me. This firmly applies to me. And now let me grab this. My wife's calling. But hey, if you like this podcast and you found some value in it, and you want to share this to the next person, maybe just because the story was funny, then be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And you know what? We'll catch you on the next episode of The Adler Perspective. Peace.